Giving it 2 seconds?
We need one of those things.
For what?
You know, like the movie and action.
Oh, the click
yeah,
thing?
The clickers. I need a clicker.
Oh.
We need a clicker.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no.
What are you doing, man?
I'm subscribed to all of our stuff.
Oh, are you serious
and we went
right
live
now?
And
wow.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
Aw. Oh, my God.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
Ooh, that was a terrible noise. That wasn't a fart. I'm just saying. Aren't you like paranoid over that?
No, I'm not. I actually have a little bit of a story that kind of ties into farting.
I kind of have to be because Daryl's always accusing me of farting. So, did you fart? No, I didn't. For real. Get off me.
I got a story for this week's episode.
Oh, God.
It kind of ties into it, so it's fantastic. It works out like that.
It works out like that. Are you on your phone right now?
I'm trying to get to my live so I can see my comments that we can't see across the live feed. There's a method to the madness. We're getting there.
Method to the madness.
We're getting there. Oh man, Kelly, are you sure about what? I don't know what that means.
Are you sure?
I'm actually doing work.
I just want to say that the amount of verbal abuse and that I was forced to undergo prior to this going live because we record the actual podcast narrative before we go live with you guys. And I just want to say that Alex Romero was not nice to me in the recording of that. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Kelly.
I don't have to be nice.
Hi, Holly.
I don't have to be nice.
You do have to be nice.
Directors sometimes aren't nice.
You're not the director.
I feel like I'm the director.
You're so not the director.
I have a director-esque feel about me, and I wear the hat around here.
You have a crack problem.
That's kind of an antiquated accusation, isn't it?
I'm just saying you're out of touch with reality.
Do people do crack anymore?
I don't know. Do they?
Honestly,
I don't even know.
I don't think people even do crack anymore.
Oh, that's so 2000.
Are you guys? Trista asked, "Are you guys going in the group?" I'm not getting any notifications.
I'm not even seeing Trista's comment.
What's up, Richard Doug? Stick around if you want to talk about some spooky stuff.
This is a bunch of
Trista. It is not showing up in the comments because you are watching on mine.
Oh, yeah, guys, if you can, go to the Supernatural Tendencies podcast page.
Matilda, thanks for stepping in. Stick around if you're
and
if you don't have anything to do.
Watch us from there.
Yeah. Go to Matilda's doing it right. She's actually doing it from the page. We can see her on the live feed in the comments.
There
if you are watching under mine, I don't know who's still in there. I got one viewer left. If you want to comment and get involved with tonight, we got some spooky dooky alien stuff going on tonight. The Stanford Kentucky Abduction. Get into our group, Supernatural Tendencies podcast group, or our page, and you'll be able to get involved with the same video there. It's just if you want to comment, we'll be able to see it in our live feed. If not, I have to address you separately across mine. But on that flip side, and they left, so that's fantastic. So either they don't give a crap, or they went.
Screw you!
They went to the page
and your podcast. Wow!
If anybody's watching this on my live feed, on my page rather, do me the favor, share it. Well, yeah, just share it. Everybody in the actual live comment room right now, do us a favor, a hearty favor, and just go ahead and share this video for us. Try to get some more people involved in the video. So, what do we got going tonight? We have anything else you want to talk about beforehand?
Just that I love this case. I didn't realize there was that much information. Like we had like 10 pages of notes with this. You know, I thought like 4 or 5 maybe.
The script was 10 pages.
Yeah.
I could have done more if I'd actually got involved in the research with it. But in doing some stuff today.
You didn't do the script. I did it.
That's what I was saying.
Oh.
You need to calm yourself. Do you see why I get angry? Any one of you who want to defend her 24/7.
It took me forever to write out this script, though, for real. It was like 4 hours.
Jumps at the throat right now. Anyway.
It's like a rabid squirrel.
All right. Are we ready to go?
Hi, Liz. Thanks for joining us. Hello. Uh-oh. Trista's already swearing.
Oh, man.
What the crow? I was on Christy's page. I finally got the note. I know, like, I'm not getting half the time my messages aren't showing up on Facebook, and it's just being retarded.
All 3 of my notifications popped up, and you heard them when we started, so.
Well, yeah. Of course.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. If you guys also, whoever's on Facebook Live right now, if you guys have the chance, I'm not sure if you prefer to watch this on Facebook Live. If you get a chance, just sub to our YouTube channel as well. We're trying to get some subscribers up on that as well. I know some people will actually subscribe to the YouTube and they can actually cast that or watch it right on their TV.
Yeah.
So if you have the opportunity and you'd like to actually watch us on the big screen, then subscribe to us on YouTube and you'll also get the little ping when we come up on YouTube.
Yeah.
And also, you'll still be able to get in the comment section and everything else. So
I tried to stifle that too after, but I couldn't. It was just like it was coming.
that's habitual. It's fine.
Whatever.
Why? What's going on?
What are you doing?
You can't see my mic flag anymore because the stupid little arm.
This stupid little arm.
You see how it's drifting?
Yeah, I told you we did that. That's why you have to put
on.
something, prop something up under it.
We'll see how it goes. It's fine. It looks fine now.
You're just.
Well, it looks good now. All
right. So are we ready to get started with this?
Hey, Tina, I miss you.
Live discussion here.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, go ahead.
You ready?
Here we go.
I gotta put that up. Holy flippin' cow.
Hey, we're back. We're back with a comment from Trista. Holy flippin' crow. It's crow, not cow. Holy flippin' crow.
Did she put crow?
She puts crow all the time in the group. If you're in the group and you haven't heard Trista, you're not around enough because Trista's always in the group. Hey, thanks for coming back today for this week's show. Are you good? Are you taking a drink? Oh, you're taking a drink. I should have known she was quiet.
Leave me alone.
So this week, Stanford Kentucky Alien Abduction, as you can see on the top there. Oh, with the overlay. It's so great. Good job.
Wrong way. Over there. Okay.
You had to change it. Okay, so first, before we start the discussion, we like to do our little house cleaning, if you will. First off, we want to shout out for the second week in a row, Miss Alicia Garcia. If you were with us on last week's show, Miss Alicia Garcia is battling breast cancer right now. She does have children, family, and it came on sudden. I shouldn't say it came on suddenly. Cancer most generally doesn't come on suddenly, but she discovered it suddenly. So if you hop on over to our, is it the group or is it the actual podcast?
It's on our podcast page, Supernatural Tendencies Podcast on Facebook. You'll find it's pinned right at the top of our page. So if you would like to, if you are able to donate, even if it's $5, it would be very much appreciated.
Yep. Anything you could do to help, I'm sure she'd be much appreciative of. We're going to keep optimistic for her, and we're going to tell her to keep on fighting because she's going to be fine.
She's going to be fine. Yeah. They are having a benefit April. I think it's 29th. I think it's the 29th.
Is it? I'm terrible with
29th
dates.
or 27th. For Alicia here in Findlay, I think it is at the Moose Lodge, I think.
Yeah, I think that's what you said.
Yeah, so they're going to have a taco bar and bands there. So yeah, be sure to get you some tickets to that.
Please do. Please do. All right. I think that's what I had. I did want to shout out to real quick Emily and Joel from the Drink Drunk Dead podcast. None of you right now, none of you at this point will be able to hear the promo. It's going to be right before our pre-recorded narrative that we do. So if you catch the show release on Tuesday, we're going to be showing or airing or plugging in, however you want to do it, a promo for the Drink Drunk Dead podcast over there. Those guys do great, fantastic work. So I want to plug them real quick to everybody in the group. Kendra, thanks for hopping in on YouTube. Again, see, everybody else could take some cue from Kendra there. Hop on the YouTube subscription train. Woohoo. Anybody in the group who's watching now, give us a shout out. Just say hello. We want to know who's here. Okay, let's go ahead and get started anyway. Enough of my long-windedness. Today, as you can see above for our audio podcast listeners, as you've read before you click play, we're doing the Stanford Kentucky Alien Abduction. And what's fantastic about this one would be the fact that it's high profile. It is corroborated from many different angles, aspects, a bunch of different listens. There's a Facebook user that said hello right before Tara did. We don't know who you are. You got to go ahead and give permission to StreamYard to allow us to use your face and Facebook profile to put you in the comments. So go ahead and click that link. So Stanford, Kentucky Alien Abduction. And what was I saying? I got off track there. Very high profile, corroborated from many different eyewitnesses, and also very respectable scientists
Well-known.
and astronomers, well known. I'm going to get into that later because this will be our first show that we've done that's got some big hitter names in the ufology community. But we're going to start off now, setting the stage. We're going to set the stage. January 6th, 1976, the summer of love. I don't think it was. Anytime I hear a date in 1970s, I think every summer is the summer of love. I don't think it was.
With you. I don't even know.
It's fine. 1976, three women, Mona Stafford, Louise Smith, and Elaine Thomas, are celebrating Stafford's 36th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
So they all go out, have a little shindig at a restaurant, eat some good food, and they're kind of wrapping up the night. So they start taking their trip home.
It's a 35-mile trip.
35-mile trip in a Chevy Nova. By the way, whoa.
I know, right?
Whoa.
67 Chevy Nova.
A 36-year-old woman driving a Chevy Nova. What has she got to prove?
Yeah. She's got no care.
More power to her. Don't get me wrong. More power to her. But dang, that's awesome. So they end up wrapping up the night. And it's very important to note, and we said this, and they said this, and multiple people have said this, that not once did they partake in the spirits of the non-paranormal kind, that is, of alcohol. They did not drink anything, and so they were completely stone sober on this trip back home. This trip is going to be the focal point of the entire story.
This is where everything happened, this trip home.
If you want to know exactly where it happened, you want to take a trip and drive down the same road, that would be Highway 78, just outside Stanford. Mm-hmm. Now, you had said in the narrative, and let me look, because they went to the Redwood, which is a restaurant in Lancaster, Kentucky, which it's the United States, so it's going to be Lancaster, not Lancaster.
Yeah.
And they're from Liberty, Kentucky, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but we're calling this the Stanford Kentucky Alien Abduction.
When you leave Lancaster, and you go out, this is the way I understood it in the telling of the story, is you kind of go out to the edge of town, and you it's kind of like taking the country way home. Mm-hmm. And then in Stanford, they turned onto this, is it 78 highway?
Yeah, okay.
78. And that's on their way home to Liberty. Yeah. So Stanford is kind of like, I think, midway point.
Yeah. Okay, so they're coming.
And that's where this happens.
Regardless, they're coming home.
Yeah.
From, where did we say?
Lancaster.
From Lancaster to Liberty, and they get near the town of Stanford, having a good old time.
Yeah.
Singing
they're all
dancing.
Singing and they're not dancing, they're in the car.
I don't
they
care.
Could be like, you know.
I'm just imagining, ain't no mountain high enough, like on the way home, and I'm 36, we don't care. And then and then suddenly they see a bright red object in the sky. And at first they think it's like a plane going down. Mayday, mayday.
Yeah.
And I wonder how shocked they were at that. It's not every day you see a plane going down.
Yeah. So at this point, they're kind of alarmed, like, oh my God, there's a plane crashing.
Because how often does a plane go down where it's like red?
Well, it is nighttime. On fire. It is nighttime.
I'm thinking like World War II fighter pilot. Wow. Anyway.
And sound effects.
That's what they think it is.
Sound effects. Yeah.
They think it's a plane going down. Which does it start in front of them or does it start behind them?
It starts in front of them. So they're driving on down this road and they look up, and in the distance they see what they think is a plane crashing.
Okay.
And then as they get closer, it disappears, and
like behind the trees?
Well, no, it just like bloop disappears.
Okay.
And then it reappears directly behind them. So they're driving down the highway. UFO, they think is a crashing airplane. Suddenly it disappears. Now it's behind them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So now it's behind. I didn't know you were handing it off. You didn't give me any cue. So now it's behind them. Now it's behind them, and that's not the most startling issue with this situation at this point. Mm-hmm. You may think so, but then they are interested to learn that after they take their foot off the gas pedal, not all three of them collectively, they're not sitting in the same seat with 3 feet on the gas pedal. Who was driving? Was it Stanford?
Stafford.
Stafford. I'm sorry, Stafford. This is confusing. I know. Now I realize.
Oh, it's just getting started now. Just wait till we bring in who.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So Stafford realizes that when she takes her foot off the gas pedal, she's still going and going strong
And accelerating.
and then accelerating all at the same time. No matter what she does, she can't slow the car down.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure if she actually full on put on the brakes because it wasn't specified.
In the story, it doesn't really say. It just says that, so at this point she's panicking, right? You've got this UFO behind you. The car is speeding up. She can't slow it down. And it does say that all three women are trying to do what they can. So I think I remember reading that one of the women like reached over and she's trying to I don't even know what she's doing.
So what are you going to do when you reach over though?
I don't know. I don't know if they try to turn off the car or I don't know, just desperate attempt to do anything.
Okay, so two thoughts from me on this point. First off,
here it goes. Here's the wind up.
This is the serious inquiry, okay? If you press the brakes while you're being accelerated by this thing, and at first when I first read the story, I was thinking that it was trailing or it was in front of the car with the car trailing almost like a toy with a string.
No.
But it's behind it, kind of pushing it, right?
Well, then it goes from being behind them to kind of whooshing up alongside them. So now they're going 85 plus miles an hour with this UFO floating. I think is how they describe it, alongside of them, right? Just going down the highway.
Yeah. So now though, if you put on the brakes, or if they would have put on the brakes, was there smoke emitted?
I don't think anything. I think at that point, whatever this craft was, these beings did something that totally controlled the car.
But okay,
they couldn't do anything.
But the question ultimately leads to, if you put on the brakes and the brakes are smoking, or if you put on the brakes and they're not smoking, is the car at this point floating down the road?
That's a good question. I don't know.
So is the craft actually taking control of the car to the point of it floating down the road at 85 miles an hour, or are they still friction-based physics?
I'm going to say that at some point it had to have come off of the ground. Because of what happened next, where, the last conscious memory these women had was the next thing they know, they find themselves backed in off of the road to the entrance of this pasture that has a stone wall on either side. So they're just kind of tucked neatly up in there while they're sitting kind of wonky. But that's the last thing that they remember. And Trista says there would be smoke if the brakes were pressed.
That's what I'm saying,
true,
Trista.
exactly. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
But but at some point, like I said, they would have had to have been lifted in order for them to, have been moved off to the side at the entrance of this pasture.
Yeah. So but that's my question, Trista. If she pushed on the brakes and the brakes were the brakes were smoking, then obviously we're still operating within the physical and logical means of the issues of being on Earth, that being friction, right?
Yeah.
That it's just still pulling through that force. If she pressed on, there's no brake smoking, then it is essentially hovering across the road. Now, so now my second question, because I'm going to backtrack a hair from you started going forward there. My second question is, now I visualize these three women in a Three Stooges type skit, trying to do what they can to stop the car. So Stafford's nope, that's not going to work. And then someone else jumps in and they're doing like a thing going on in and around trying to get it to stop. And while this is happening, so we already established that the UFO starts from behind. The car is now accelerating and going faster and faster and faster. And then it catches up with them though, kind of hovers at their side and then gets in front of them.
Yeah.
So now we do have that child with a toy on a string thing going on. Excuse me. While this portion of the story is happening, the car is now flooded with a white light, right? So they're being completely illuminated inside the cab of this car. If that were it, then that'd be not fine, but better.
Yeah.
Because with this case, besides just lights of varying color, of varying strobingness, I just made up a word. You're welcome. You can have it.
I know.
There's now a gaseous fog
starting
to form inside the car. As if someone took a canister of tear gas and chucked it in the car.
And that's kind of what it did, because all three women described being instantly overtaken by this mysterious foggy mist.
And by overtaken, we mean choking of their throat, in their nose, burning of their eyes, and now it's burning across the entirety of their skin.
Yeah.
It's clearly reacting to them.
Mhm.
They did not roll down their windows, not that I've seen. Of course, if you were put in that position, I'm going to ask the group chat this. If you were put in that position, would you roll the windows down?
Would you be able to?
Take
Would
the
you
chance
be,
of being sucked out by this tractor beam, if that's what it is? We don't know.
Yeah.
Or would you keep them up?
What would you do?
I'm gonna leave you with that. Answer that question.
If you were able to do anything.
That's true.
But
my first thought is if someone farts in the car and windows are coming down, right? Roll down your window. It's just typically what you do. Fun story, and I'm gonna take us to an aside. Fun story for this week. I deliver medical equipment, and I have a delivery van that you kind of have to step up into. Stepped up into it. I'm by myself all day. Just farted, and I'm like, God, that stinks. I'm like, oh,
you are disgusting.
Oh, it's terrible. It stinks really bad, right? Worst part is of the whole situation as of yet is my driver's side window won't roll down. I got to take it into the shop. So now I got to roll down the other side of the window, the passenger side of the window. I'm like, ooh, that's a good one. Good. Give myself a high five.
What
Good
does
job.
this have to do with?
Because of the gaseous thing inside the car. So I'm like, oh, that's terrible, right? And I thought that was the end of it. End up stopping at another patient's house, go to get out. And when I hop down, my face is almost seat level. When I hop down, got a second whiff of it. Must have kept a pocket of that just noxious.
Oh my God.
Got a second whiff when I got out of that sucker. It was terrible. Oh.
And you talk every week about we need a mute button
Oh.
for every time you cough.
Yeah.
We need a mute button for when you tell stupid stories that are totally irrelevant.
It's not irrelevant. We're talking
topic.
We're talking about things that burn your eyes and nose in a gaseous form that filled up vehicles. And that's exactly what happened here. I just didn't get abducted. Maybe I did. I wish I would have. It would have made the workday go a little bit faster.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen like that.
I agree, Matilda says TMI.
That's fine. So let's get back on track. We're back on track
here.
So their eyes are burning. Their nose is running. Their mouth is choking. It's a terrible Dr. Seuss book.
It's awful.
And then they all kind of pass out. So they wake up driving down the road again.
Yeah. The next thing they remember, they're back on the road, driving back home toward Liberty.
Okay, now, but they still have some ill effects.
Yeah, they're confused at this point. They don't know, something happened, but we don't know what just happened.
Yeah.
And they've got these burns on their skin.
Yep.
Throat, eyes, nose still burning on the inside, and they've got visible burns on their skin. So now they continue on. They get home to Liberty, and they go to Stafford, I believe. No, they go to Mrs. Smith's house. Yeah.
Yep.
And they get inside the house and they realize, okay, they left the restaurant at 11:15 p.m. They get home and it is 1:20, something like that. So this 35-mile trip, I can't remember exactly what time it is. This 35-mile trip has taken them an hour and 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And so they think, okay, no, maybe the clock's wrong. So they run next door to their neighbor, Lowell Lee, I think is his name. Lowell Lee's house. And he says, yeah, your clock's fine. That's it. It's 1:20 in the morning.
Why are you at my house?
I was just going to say probably why the hell are you at my house?
Why do I have 3 ladies at my house at 1:20?
So they go back to, I'm getting all fidgety here. They go back to Mrs. Smith's house and, they're trying to, okay, what happened? We know something happened. And they're kind of at a loss. What do we do? So they do the only thing they know to do, and they call the police, which the police were no help. So then they're like, okay, well, who can we call now? So the next morning when they get up, they place a call to, I think it's the Navy. Is it the Navy recruiting station, I believe?
Air Force?
No, I'm pretty sure it's
Navy. Oh, it was Navy. Yep,
yeah.
It was.
Yeah, to the recruiting station. And the recruiting station pays a little bit more attention to them. They take down little bits of the story. And somehow the story was leaked or whatever to the local newspaper or TV station. I'm sorry. And so it did appear on their little local news. And from the minute it hit that, it kind of took off. Mm-hmm. And then from there, it went to headlines across the U.S.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
And then when we cue Jerry Black. Mr. Jerry Black, investigator for the Mutual UFO Network, or MUFON. And if you are anywhere near as intrigued, dare I say, obsessed with the paranormal and supernatural of the extraterrestrial type, you'll know MUFON.
Yeah.
Essentially MUFON, and you could actually become MUFON member yourself, and you can actually become an investigator. I
You
believe
sure
they
can.
have like state precincts. Would you call it that? What would you call it? Like state
They have
divisions?
a state jurisdiction, yeah, divisions, I guess. Yeah, and you can become an investigator for those.
Yep. You can. All you gotta do is apply, and then you have to do
I
some
think you have
some
to pay
tests.
I think you have to pay like a monthly or
Of
a
course.
yearly like fee.
Yep,
Yeah,
to have your like certificate, and then whenever
Yeah.
something happens, whenever someone witnesses something, it doesn't matter what it is.
You'll be boots on the ground. You go and you investigate, talk to them,
Yep, they'll
find out what happened.
whenever something happens, they'll contact MUFON, and then wherever
Mhm.
MUFON, I don't know whether is it headquarters California or something
I
like that.
believe so.
They will then designate in the state jurisdictions who
Yeah.
go out and do it. That could be you. So if that's interesting to you, look
Yeah,
into
get a
it.
hold
It
of
looks
them.
fun.
Yeah,
So
they're on Facebook also. I know if you go to their Facebook page, they also have a group
Mhm.
on Facebook, so
Yeah.
you can. I'm sure you can find information there.
Yeah. So Jerry Black ends up catching wind of the story. Obviously, it wouldn't be hard to do with how highly publicized it is. And he would actually attempt to contact the three women, hoping for an interview.
Huh.
But they weren't really interested in it. They didn't want to bring it up again. They didn't want to go delving into it for just a litany of reasons. They didn't want to think about it anymore. They didn't want to tarnish their reputation. I mean, we're still talking mid 70s right now. And while the issue is being brought up, not many wholesome people really want to get involved with it yet.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
they eventually get talked into doing some hypnotic regression. I know we're skipping a little bit, but they end up getting talked into doing it by doing some hypnotic regression.
just to try to find out, because I can't remember which one of the ladies. I think it was it Mrs. Thomas? One of them was like being obsessed with trying to remember what the hell happened, right? What happened with this missing time? So it was definitely affecting them. It was affecting their physical health, their mental health, and all of that.
Yeah. So Mr. Black reassures him that it's going to be fine. In fact, he has a female partner that kind of deals with this kind of thing, Mrs. Peggy Schnell of Blanchester, Ohio. And then they felt better about it, so they went ahead and said, yes, we'll do it. Apparently, though, in the initial meeting, Black had kind of noticed some tendencies with them. They noticed that they were all kind of nervous talking about it, and they just could not put cigarettes down.
Yeah.
I mean, they just chain smoked the hell out of the situation, and they started bringing up everything that was wrong with them.
Yeah.
So the first set of things we've already kind of talked about. Obviously, the initial reaction to whatever the gaseous thing was, gaseous form, cloud, whatever it was in the car, and that's going to be like we said, the choking feeling in their nose and mouth, their eyes, the burning on the skin that still left burns that you could see.
Yeah.
And then they would bring up the fact that they had just an insatiable thirst. No matter how much water they could drink, it just wasn't ever enough.
Yeah.
Obviously, they still were bothered by the pains and stuff. And then do we move on to the parakeet now?
Yeah. Yeah. This is what happened with the parakeet.
All right. So this is an interesting kind of difference than with a lot of our cases. On top of that other stuff we'd already kind of mentioned, was it Miss Stafford?
I think so. Yeah.
I want to kind of see. I don't mean leaving dead air here, but I just wanted to make sure. No, it was Miss Smith.
Miss Smith.
Miss Smith, upon getting home, she had a pet parakeet that she noticed that while the parakeet is usually pretty affectionate, didn't want anything to do with her. It would throw itself at the back of its cage, didn't want anything to do with her.
Terrified of her.
Frightened of her for some reason. And Mr. Black corroborated this. He said when he came in, both him and Mrs. Schnell, when they were around the bird, it kind of sounded, what was that?
Probably Oscar.
Oh, geez.
It's Oscar.
When him and Mrs. Schnell, which is tough to say, by the way, take some time. Try to say Mrs. Schnell 5 times fast.
Yeah.
Whenever they came into the room with the parakeet, it seemed fine. It seemed, like an average parakeet. But whenever Mrs. Smith came in, that thing just went bonkers.
Flip out again.
Now, we didn't say it in the narrative, but I thought I read in at least one article that the parakeet would eventually die.
Yeah, it died a short time after that.
I think one of the other women had some type of bird as well. That kind of had the same reaction, but I think it was only mentioned in just like one of the articles that I had read. So that's interesting to note. What kind of thing affecting Mrs. Smith
Yeah. Did
was
it pick up on
was
the
detectable by the
energy, or
parakeet.
yeah, what was going on that the parakeet wasn't cool with?
Julie, I miss you. Thank you.
Trista asks, is there any record of them getting treated or seen for the burns? I don't know, honey. Yeah, I don't believe it said that they went to if they went to the hospital or not. I'm not sure.
I didn't find any of that either.
Yeah,
Interestingly enough.
I couldn't find anything related to that.
I do know that when they called the police, they were not taken seriously whatsoever.
Oh no, yeah.
So if they did not get treated for the things that were going wrong with their body, it wouldn't be surprising because they were basically laughed off the phone by the police. So if the police would have reacted like that, would have paramedics reacted like that?
Hospital workers.
Yeah, so I wouldn't have been surprised if that wasn't the case. So now we have what we go over just now. The parakeet.
My mic isn't right here. Sorry.
You got it?
I got it.
Okay, we're back on track.
I'm all right.
So after all of this, we have cars going by. I apologize. After going through all of this, general health issues and obvious emotional instability with the whole situation, Black would actually get a hold of Walter Andrus of MUFON, and again, our first big hitter for our show, Dr. J. Allen Hynek. If you have never heard of Dr. J. Allen Hynek, I wanted to go over some things with you because you are in for a treat. This is a quick aside. Hold on, let me get Oscar. What are you doing?
If you are at all a lover of ufology or follow anything like that, you most likely know who J. Allen Hynek is.
Yes. Dr. J. Allen Hynek would come onto the world stage in 1948, I believe it was. After World War II, and by the way, I didn't even preface this. We're going to take a huge aside right now just to let you know how important like Dr. Hynek's work is across all stations of ufology, and he's going to play a small role here, but it makes a big difference on the veracity of the claims. Dr. J. Allen Hynek would come onto the world stage in 1948 after World War II and a deluge of a lot of reports that had come in. We have to remember in World War II, we also get the first really big military sightings collection, if you will. If you've ever heard of the Foo Fighters, we won't go into, not the band, but where the band got the name. I know, it's a great band. We know. But the description of and I can't remember the story, something with the way the French pronounced it, but it was like Foo Fires, which like Foo Fires.
Yeah. And
the Americans thought it was Foo Fighter because that's how fighter. So we get the phenomenon of the Foo Fighters. That's just one case in point of all these reports coming in seemingly around the end of World War II, and the government would start to bring in really, how can we say it, a more collective, collaborative, serious inquiry into all these. Jennifer Berg, thanks for joining us. Start bringing in a lot of these collaborative professionals to check out what the hell is going on. So the first one would be Project Sign. Yeah, Project Sign was first, which would then translate, I believe, to Project Grudge, and then we get into Project Blue Book. So hopefully I got those right. So J. Allen Hynek was an astronomer at the Ohio State University, and they actually asked him to come on board with these initial sightings to kind of work through what is going on. And I should have written down all the percentages of what he did, because he was the front line of going out to investigate all these sightings. So he had I think it was like 200 or 300 maybe sightings that he did first and foremost, and the majority of them were just explainable area phenomenon. They were things that he had to explain to them. It's just this, it's whatever you just misidentified something that we know happens. There were another certain section that were something else still explainable, but there were about 13%, I think I was. If someone else knows these, they're going to be yelling at their radio right now, yelling at their phone, yelling at their computer, wherever they're listening. But it was a very small percentage that remained unidentified. And these unidentified cases are what brought Dr. J. Allen Hynek into the fold more and more and more. And it would eventually start to change his mindset on what he was coming to process and to coming to investigate. Because at first, being purely a man of science, obviously there was a logical explanation to all of
Yeah.
these, and it wasn't probably going to be, extraterrestrial life forms. But with this even small percentage of the things that he personally delved into, he started to really look at other possibilities. So taking a quick aside, it wasn't a quick, it was kind of a long one, but Black contacted, like I said, both Walter Andrus of MUFON and Dr. J. Allen Hynek from CUFOS. All of them determined that the women seemed respectable and sane, and they weren't just making up stories to make up stories.
About to knock my background down.
Oh my gosh. If you guys see the background right now, we apologize for the way it looks, but we apologize more for the way that last week's episode sounded.
Terrible.
We now have an official podcasting table here that we're calling it, that kind of like caters to our needs a little bit more when we're doing lives and when we're recording. Unfortunately, every other configuration we've done of this room has been fine, at least for these microphones. Last week was not, and we didn't test it because we took that for granted. So on her end of the microphone just sounded terrible. So if you're here this week, we're glad you stuck around, because we weren't going to record the entirety of it. So hopefully this week's going to go a little better, and I think that background is going to make her audio is going to be a lot better.
So it doesn't look the greatest, but while we're waiting for our sound deadening things to come in,
we ordered our first batch of sound treatments today, so they should be here Monday. So hopefully by next week.
Let's just hope Oscar doesn't knock it down again on me.
It is, in fact, one of the rollout beds, but it's very foamy and it works. I think she sounds pretty dead right now. Her microphone, rather. So, getting back on track. So, Dr. J. Allen Hynek and Walter Andrus and Black found the women to be respectable and insane, and not just telling stories to tell stories or anything like that. And they would actually go into, again, no alcohol being used, no drug use and stuff like that. So, everything really sounded sane. Do you have anything to go into?
No.
Okay, so we'll carry this on. What happened to my live?
What are you doing, man?
Go ahead. Can you take over? Go ahead.
Oh no, so you put me on the spot like that.
I did.
Hold on here. I gotta get a drink. I gotta get a drink.
Oh, you're not even helping me. Okay, so Hynek set out to find a professional psychiatrist to help perform the hypnotic regression. And if you don't know what hypnotic regression is, it is a popular form. It's popular by now. It's becoming a little more well-known in the common consciousness of ufology.
A little more mainstream.
Of delving into lost time. And we just keep going into terms here that we want to get you.
I know, right?
And get you accessible to here. Lost time is something that we kind of find a lot in these UFO cases. Essentially, you are aware of something 1 minute, and then 3 hours later, you're now no longer aware. We actually delved into that, I think, for the first time in the Gundy McKay abduction. A lot of lost time in that one, and we experienced it here. So what Dr. Hynek wanted to do is get a psychiatrist involved with these hypnotic regressions, putting the women in a hypnotic state, and trying to see if they can't dig up those memories that for one reason or another are repressed. And I guess that's the ultimate question with a lot of these hypnotic regressions. And this is where we can get into like the conspiracy theory side. If you've ever watched X-Files, man, you know what I'm talking about. Why are these memories being repressed, or how are they being repressed?
Yeah.
So in this one is where we start to get, aside from the Betty and Barney Hill case, which was, when was that, 1963?
I can't remember, and I should know this.
But this one, they actually find some stuff in this hypnotic regression, if you do believe in the veracity of hypnotic regression, on the description of what happened during this lost time. And then we also welcome one of my favorite characters of the story.
The infamous Dr. Sprinkles.
Dr. Sprinkles.
So Dr. Sprinkle is a well respected both ufologist and physician. So they try to get a hold of him, and at the time he was in Wyoming. And funds are limited for this case. So they try to do what they can to get him to Kentucky to do this regression. So long story short, they get him there. All three women agreed. So they set up a time. They're going to do these regressions. I think the first one they set up at a local hotel, didn't they? Motel, hotel, whatever.
Yeah, where was that? Yeah, something.
Yeah, it was in Liberty.
Yep.
Yeah, it was in Liberty. And so they all three initially agreed, but then two of the women decided, you know what, we're not too sure about this. So I can't remember, was it Mrs. Stafford that agreed that she would go under?
I can't find. I lost where I was.
Oh no. But so she agrees. And so he takes her through the whole regression process. And she starts to remember a little bit, but then she becomes too overwhelmed with emotion and they have to stop the session
It
for
was
that
Mrs.
night.
Stafford.
Mrs. Stafford. Yeah, I
Mhm.
thought it was. Yeah. So they stopped the session for that night. And then it was actually a couple months that they had very little contact with Dr. Hynek, Dr. Sprinkles, and Mr. Black from the Inquirer. They kind of popped in and talked to him a little bit, but they kind of were giving him time to just, step back from the public. Oh, I can't talk tonight. Public eye and just kind of chill a little bit. Did you find that there?
I did find it.
Okay.
I think we jumped ahead on the first one. There was a little more that happened in that first session. Because this is what really grabs them. Yes, she's becoming emotionally exhausted now with coming up with everything that had went on through this process of the time she had lost, and she starts to describe what she was experiencing. And now I just lost my place again. Why am I doing this to myself?
What are
I don't know
you
why I'm doing this to
doing?
myself today. Let's do this real quick. I think I'm keep thinking about Holly's comment here.
Let's bring that up here.
Holly had a pretty long comment. Did they look at the vehicle for any malfunctions? She said, let's be honest, 3 women driving at night having a good time while traveling with no care. But this happens with the flying object. They could have been pushed the skinny pedal. Or they could have pushed the skinny pedal on accident.
Yeah.
They could have. And here is what we'll say, because we didn't mention it. It was a little thing before with the parakeet thing that had happened. I just headbutted my microphone with the observation of the parakeet and everything like that. A few of the other observations they had was they noticed that the minute hand on Mrs. Stafford's watch, I think it was Mrs. Stafford's watch, was spinning just out of control on her hand, which to me is like, should you even be around her? Is she like irradiated?
I know, right?
But the other one was they had said that there was mechanical malfunctions in the car that were happening to them. Now, I don't know if that means the
electrical
gauges
problems
going crazy.
Yeah, I don't know.
But mechanics couldn't figure that out either. But the thing is to their knowledge, and at least to our knowledge on the research side, none of those issues had happened before the incident, and then afterwards is when they started happening.
Yeah.
So if you want to go the more logical, non-paranormal route, was there something wrong with the car? Possibly. But in the whole stack, just the thick, chilly ladling of other garbage that had happened in this story, a small electrical issue with the car, I mean, it's kind of buried under all this other stuff that is just inadvertently tree-like branching, causing it to happen. So they go through, let's get back to it. Let's go back through the January 6th first hypnotic regression, and I'm going to still try to find it. Investigator who had accompanied Black started showing Stafford drawings of an extraterrestrial being. Now, my problem with the description that we had found is, what does that mean? Because I never really got.
It didn't really say like what kind
was
of
the picture?
alien.
What was it? Now?
I'm gathering the way she describes it as some type of stereotypical gray alien.
Yeah, because and that's what I was led to believe too by myself, because up until this time, we're still only in 1976, which essentially is we're still in the infancy of paranormal research. We did say that we started back in 1948, but really gathering a lot of this just outside of the traditional disc of that's being seen. We're starting to see bodies of extraterrestrials now, especially like I said with the hypnotic regression of Betty and Barney Hill. So now I'm going to assume, like just like you did, that we're talking about the almond shaped head with the large eyes and stuff like that. Also, what I want to point out, and I don't think either of them are in the chat this week, but Katie and Cindy, who I both work with, put up a post in the group this week. Do aliens have teeth?
That's a good question.
I don't think I answered, because I don't know. So I didn't answer in the poll. But here's an interesting thought in this case. They're noted in this hypnotic regression as not having any mouths at all.
Yeah, because they spoke telepathically.
So I'm going to imagine that their mouths were on their butt, and they just walk around and smash their butt on prospective food stuffs.
It's a different take.
And that's how they do it.
Different theory.
That's what I'm sticking with. So they end up showing her this, Miss Stafford, this picture, and she like flips out. She said that's the light she saw, and that was shaped like that head. She also said she can see the face now. Being in the regression, she can now see the face, and it appears to be like in a fog, but she can see that the eyes are far apart, and the bottom of the chin again is like the almond. So we're going like a round top,
Yeah.
coming down into like an almond shape, like an upside down guitar pick almost, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. And then the dark big eyes.
In the dark big eyes. By today's standards, it would be the affectionately antiquated description of an alien head. You know, the t-shirt style peace
Yeah,
sign.
yeah.
But it affected her. That's exactly what she saw. So now what we're gonna like connect right now is that fog is carrying over into wherever they are now. So the fog happened in the car, and then now she's still trying to see through this fog to where she's seeing these faces, because she'll start to see one eye and two eyes floating around her. And I take it as not like just naked eyes, just got floating around.
Yeah.
But she's seeing the faces, but only registering the eyes through this fog, because you can't totally make them out.
Your camera,
It did that last week too.
Oh, okay.
I think it's because of the way there's no light source behind me. It's all coming from the top.
Oh,
so
yeah,
this kind
that
of
could be.
bleeds in and out.
Yeah.
All right. So she sees that, and that's the first regression they have. Our hypnosis regression session, which again, phrase number 2, say that 5 times fast. I freaking dare you to do it.
Try it. Go on.
Try it. So after that, they are trying to get a second regression session, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they are starting to have money issues. So I don't know exactly what money issues means.
Well, because by now the women, they can't work. They in the beginning they were having issues with their job when they initially went back to work after this happened.
Yeah.
But by now they've just kind of spiraled out of control. Their mental health, their physical health is even worse now, and they can't even work now. So now they have no income coming in.
Yeah, but apparently Dr. Sprinkles is having money issues too, which is my segue to this part, because somehow he got a deal with the National Enquirer.
Mr. Black. It was Black.
No, a deal was. I'm going to read your writing. A deal was reached with the tabloid giant, the National Enquirer, that would provide money that would allow Dr. Sprinkles to return to Kentucky.
Yeah, to pay, but it was Black that struck the deal, because Black, he's got good intentions. He wants to get these women some financial help, right? Because, like I said, they can't work. Mm-hmm. So he comes up with this plan, albeit kind of not a very good one, but. Because he's a very well-respected, kind-hearted guy, even though he works for the, this tabloid. Mm-hmm. But so he comes up with this plan that we will give the story of whatever the findings are from the regression. We're going to sell that story to the National Enquirer. But however, they're not going to release, the findings of this regression until all 3 women agree and say, okay, now you could put it out there. So the tabloid agrees to this and
gives them some money.
Yeah, which pays Dr. Sprinkle to allow him to come from Wyoming. Sprinkle.
I can't even do it.
Back to Kentucky.
I'm trying to keep it respectable.
Yeah. So
I just imagine the
sprinkles, candy sprinkles falling. I know, me too, man.
The Dunkin' Donuts guy. Like, that's what I imagine.
The Dunkin' Donuts
guy. Oh my
gosh.
So he comes back, and they schedule another session for June 23rd, 1976. And as we can start to see, they want to get these hypnotic regressions in as quickly as they can, which for me, it doesn't really matter, because I just imagine these memories being locked in a vault in your mind, because if you can't remember them now, why does it matter? But regardless, they try to get back as quickly as they can. And they actually bring along Bob Pratt, who is a respected UFO investigator for the Enquirer, which, knowing how I feel about tabloids today, is there such a thing as a respected UFO investigator for a tabloid?
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt today.
Sure.
And then they also bring in a very key point today, key point that would be today. I think they still have it, because I think it went into kind of like an uncertain phase, which would be a lie detector test.
Yeah, that was one condition that the Enquirer said that they laid down with this whole agreement thing, is they wanted a lie detector. They wanted the women to undergo a lie detector test,
Mhm.
which they were like, sure.
Yep. And they brought in Detective James Young of the Lexington Police Force and administered the test to all of them. And he came out of the room from each one like astonished because apparently they just breezed right through it.
Yeah.
Answering the questions, answered back, and everything was in tip-top shape. To the lie detector machine, the polygraph machine, she was not lying.
Oh, yeah. And
Or
well,
they
all
were
three
not
of they
lying.
were not lying. And let's say too that Mr. Young was considered an expert, one of the leading experts in the field of, I can't think of what they call it, lie detector, administering lie detector tests. So, and he was also a UFO skeptic. So, you have the guy that's one of the best in his field at doing this test, and he's going in really not believing anything they're saying, and was proved wrong.
Yeah, yeah. So they go into Mrs. Smith first. So she's the first to go under for the test, and they will do all three again the next day.
Yeah.
But then here's where we start getting into the meat of the oddities. If your guys' oddity meter hasn't been full enough, we're just gonna take it right over the edge. Mrs. Smith recalls being placed on a table for examination. And in some of the articles I read, they pointed out that it was a cold table. So whoever is housing these medical tables aren't nice enough
And
to
you
have
warm them up a bit.
a little bit warm. She was placed on an examination table, and then Mrs. Thomas found herself put inside a capsule.
Yeah, capsule,
like a Tic Tac capsule of
that's
some
what
type.
I pictured too, as a Tic Tac.
But what's more unusual about this is there was some type of apparatus that was noose shaped that was around her neck that would tighten painfully whenever she attempted to speak, kind of keeping her in place and complacent as long as she would just shut up.
Which I'd never heard about anything like that in not to say there isn't, but I haven't ever heard of that.
Yeah, like a dog collar
in a case, yeah,
of some type, right?
Yeah.
And then Mrs. Stafford found herself in a chair,
yeah,
almost like a device for her examination. So each one described as having their bodies being scanned, and then a warm liquid applied to their face and body. And then they go into different types of, well, I guess what we would consider like medical devices.
Yeah.
If we were the extraterrestrials, it'd be some type of medical devices that would put like pressure on their limbs. I don't know, testing tensile strength.
Yeah, that's kind of what I pictured happening.
Mrs. Thomas also says that there was some type of bullet-shaped tube.
Yeah.
That was inserted into her chest.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't remember hearing any scars about it. So that's an interesting addition. But all three describe them as being shadowy figures who were,
that's how they viewed them,
who were administering these tests, if you will.
And they would kind of float or glide by them.
And they would float or glide. I mean, either A, they're kind of hovering, B, they have great posture enough to appear as if they're gliding, or they have Heelys before we even thought of them. So
maybe
that would be pretty sweet if they had Heelys on a spaceship.
Yeah.
Then Mrs. Stafford will go into we're getting terrifying, but we're getting into something that affects Alex a lot, like eyeball stuff.
Yeah,
like,
they all three detailed having seen these.
But Mrs. Stafford will go into some type of eye exam.
Oh yeah, sorry.
And she said it would look like a light on her eye that when she looked through, the end almost looked like she was looking through a tunnel, and then it looked like she said a volcano that was jagged. So I don't know, what I first picture is like, what was that, the old 007 movies where it's like,
oh yeah,
like
the camera,
then the camera kind of did that, and then like panned out, panned in. That's kind of what I imagined, but just kind of like jagged around the outside,
and it was purple and purplish.
Yeah. So she sees this bright purple, and it radiated like lightning rays from it. So now we're into like what, kaleidoscope
kind of
happenings. I mean, hopefully we're not like misinterpreting this, because this is like a serious situation, because now after that she felt like an excruciating pain, on par with them, her saying that it felt like they were being pulled out, like her eyes were being pulled out. So whatever the use or purpose of this test, A, trippy as balls, and B, seemingly having no human purpose that we can understand.
Yeah. And,
There's
and
nothing like it.
incredibly painful.
Incredibly painful,
Because
yes.
doesn't she describe it as feeling as though her eye was being plucked out?
Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. Mrs. Smith would also add, and this was several months after the second session, she would add that their hands looked like bird wings.
Jagged bird wings, wingtips. Which there was another case. Wasn't it the Hopkinsville goblins? You know that case?
Yeah, but I don't think they were. They've been described as like owl-like.
But I thought there was something about their claws. I can't remember which case it was that their hands were like these wingtip.
What are we talking? Like how like the feather on top starts out long and then it gets smaller and smaller?
Yeah,
and smaller?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I was thinking it was that, but I'm not for sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's how they describe these beings.
Yeah.
Hands. Also, the beings being roughly about 4 feet tall. So we have a bunch of tiny aliens with wing-tipped fingers sticking stuff in people's eyeballs.
As hell, isn't it?
And like lassoing people around the neck with effectively tightening dog collars. Kelly says, "Oh my God, Heelys!" Yes, yes. So let's move on. Where was I in my story here?
I don't know. I kind of lost my place there.
For the heel, all I'm thinking about is Heelys.
Yeah, all I'm thinking about is jagged little wing.
I don't know.
God, that's creepy.
Yeah. What was it from? It kind of reminds me of. Have you ever seen that movie Bedtime Stories? Was it Adam Sandler where he gets his niece and nephews and they tell him these stories?
Okay, yeah.
But then the stories like start coming true. But then there's the other girl who's or the other woman. Oh, I just bashed his head. Whoops. Whoopsies. Hey, if you wasn't up there,
did he
then
crush your little skull?
Apparently,
Oscar?
I did. So, hey, Shandy, I'm gonna wave to you. Wave to Shandy. Anyway, so there's the other woman who takes over the was it daytime or nighttime? I can't remember. Babysitting shift. And they don't get along, her and Adam Sandler. And one of the stories he tells turns her like into a harpy. Like that's what I kind of think of is like, I don't know why I'm keep doing this.
I don't know
I'm
either.
doing these hand motions.
To me, you look like a little velociraptor or not T-Rex. Yeah.
I'm just going to stop because now I feel just foolish about it.
It's your fault, Kelly. Kelly goes, "You're welcome."
Thanks, Kelly. I appreciate that. So now we're kind of out of our description of what happened specifically to them. What makes this case, well, in part because we've talked about a lot of fantastical things. I say fantastical not in a judgmental way, but in a way that is brand new to the ufology community chronologically at their point in time when they happened. So these are all new ideas of coming out, all new things being experienced. Obviously not good, the vast majority of it.
Yeah.
But now what makes this case really special is the fact that not only did the 3 women experience this, but also a multitude of other people in the geographic area where it's thought to have taken place also seen strange things on the same night around the same time that the women had experienced this.
Yeah.
Let's go through some of those. I'll have to find them. I have here sightings of the unidentified flying object were reported at around 11:30-ish. I think we clocked this at 11:15 initially in the story. No, they started heading back.
Yeah.
From dinner
but at 11:30, reports came in.
Yeah. So we're
people seeing things.
So we're start talking about in the counties of Casey and Lincoln there in Kentucky. One guy says, "No, where was
it? Was a set. There were two teenagers.
Two separate ones? No, this was before.
The couple. Okay.
I lost myself.
There was a couple that reported.
There was the couple. Yep.
Yeah, they reported seeing. Didn't they report seeing the lights and the craft?
The large luminous object.
Yeah, in the sky.
Yep. And they even doubled down on this and say that it was a few hundred. Well, they didn't exactly double down, but it is doubled down upon because they report this almost like a few hundred yards of where the women say this took place. So these women or the couple actually corroborated it to the point that the whole entire investigation had said that, wow, like this is within hundreds of yards.
Yeah.
Do we have 2, the people who experienced it saying it happened here?
It went right over their house.
Yep. As well as 2 other people saying that it happened without knowing of each other.
But wait, there's more.
There is more.
There's more.
Other reports detailed witnessing the same ring of reddish orange lights around disc-shaped object flying around the area. And this one was from the two teenagers
that were out,
and they tried
for a
to
night
follow it. They tried to follow it from the Angel manufacturing plant in Stanford, and they went all the way to the next town,
Danville.
Yeah, I'm trying to find out where.
And
that
they
was
lost it there, and then they actually went to the police station and filed a report in Danville.
Yep. So they went to the police as well.
Yeah.
With this, and they didn't really. They're just a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
So I imagine that nobody
got brushed off.
Yeah, I imagine nobody really gave a crap about the kids. And then we have a third one as well, who
probably one of the most, incredulous witnesses.
Who? This next guy?
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Well, because he was the owner of the property, the farmer, the owner of the property. When the ladies, their last memory was of being backed in that the entrance to this pasture in between the two stone walls.
Oh, I guess I didn't.
He was the guy that owned that property.
Yeah.
So from his house, he saw some kind of weird craft with the beam of white light being beamed down to the earth. But did he go help? No.
You're like, well, I'm just gonna stay out of that. That looks like bad news bears.
They can take that cow. I don't even care.
Head on in. Bonanza's wrapping up.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and head back inside. And that is where we come to a close for today.
So if you want to say, okay, these three women, I was gonna say, well, they got all liquored up at this birthday dinner and had this claims of this experience. But they didn't drink any alcohol that night.
Yep. They
had even went back to the restaurant and talked to, the people that served them. They said, no, they didn't have anything to drink. So, and then you bring in Dr. Sprinkle and you bring in J. Allen Hynek, both very well respected, very knowledgeable, probably more knowledgeable than, I don't think there would be very many people
at the time for sure.
Yeah, So, and they're like, yeah, we believe 100%, and especially for J. Allen Hynek to say that, that I believe unequivocally that these women are sane, that they are not lying, and that this really happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have not one, not two, but you have three different unrelated, separate groups of people that all had the same sighting around the same time within 15 minutes.
Yep. And let me do a hard cap on this because I left it on a soft cap. Information post hypnotic regression, we didn't find much. So whatever happened afterwards, whatever was carried through, the actual case has been kept in the annals of history, and in the annals of ufology. But what happened after that, it just kind of has just kind of become a poster child for what is a good, witness. Situation. But after that, we really don't know a whole lot.
No. I tried finding out, okay, so what happened to the women after that? And after the reports were made public, couldn't really find anything. You would think there would be like subsequent interviews, things like that. Not that I could find.
Yep.
So
Jennifer Berg quite a while ago had said this is why people don't come forward because of how they get treated by people, and I think it's becoming better. It's getting better.
Well,
with the advent of the internet, with the more understanding that there are odd things, and if we just speak about them, I mean that's the craziest part to me is for thousands of years people could come up with different folklore to explain different things, and whether or not people actually believe the folkloric stories and monsters and beings existed or not just existing just for the sake of a cautionary tale, that usually pays people no never mind. We tell stories that come up with these little monsters that are in the woods or in the fairy mounds or something like that. But when it becomes part of a UFO experience or any type of extraterrestrial, they tend to get shrugged off. And I am one of those people that if I listen to your story, I want to hear it. I want to understand it. I am enjoyed by it. I'm entertained by it. I may not all and out believe it, but that's not me calling you a liar. That's not me saying that this didn't happen to you or you're a crackpot or anything like that. I think that we always need that healthy dose of scientific theory, which is exactly why I wanted to bring up Dr. J. Allen Hynek, who had come up in the purest form.
Oh, he was the ultimate skeptic
of the ufology community in the first experiment with this, with the first analytics being collected. And so I think I think that with these different pockets of communities and understandings across the world now, just not in the United States, of people, of like-minded people being having the ability to just talk about things. That's all you got to do is just talk about them. If we have an experience and we talk about it and we come to a logical conclusion that maybe there was just a smudge in my glasses when I was looking at the sky, I'm not downplaying any legitimate, cases here, but at least we talked about it. At least it didn't get swept under the rug. At least you didn't sit in a corner of your mind thinking that you're the only person who has ever experienced this and you're the only person who thinks you're sane because now everybody else thinks you're crazy. So I think that's ufology 101 for me, is getting that story out there.
I think another thing that's really, even, and I've talked about this before, but even 20 years ago, even 10 years ago, the amount of, look at now we have the military, all the world governments have come out and said, yes, we have had, UFO sightings. We know them to be real. Even some, I can't think of who it was, a prime minister.
The Canadian prime minister?
No.
Then was it the Pope guy from England?
No.
Oh.
It was, I can't think of where he was from. And not Thailand. It was one of those though. Came forward. There's two different ones. One was a man, one was a woman. And they both came forward and said, we've been abducted by aliens. So even 10 years ago, to make such a claim, yeah, you would be looked at, people would be like, oh, no, you're just some kind of crackpot. But now, reputable people, who, just like in those people, they are in high up positions. They have a lot to lose by coming forward and saying, we've had these experiences.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like in doing that, it is opening up that doorway for, people like myself who have had, these interactions their whole life. We can talk about them now. We can discuss them.
I think that one of the biggest parts about it is the intent on any group and their how do you say it? Their intention. Well, their intentions on what they're trying to achieve. When we have Project Sign coming out, they brought in Dr. J. Allen Hynek to get a handle on what's going on, to give a professional explanation, and what they were fully expecting and wanting from Dr. Hynek were consistent professional reports of why are people misseeing logical things.
Yeah.
And that's what Dr. Hynek had come in to get. And like I said before, I didn't have those specific numbers, but there are a large portion of them he logically explained away. He said it was just something that you happen to see, that it was a weird angle or something that you don't normally see and you happen to have caught that night. That's usually happens, but you didn't see it until tonight, or blah, blah, blah. But there was a small portion that remained unexplained, which is why we eventually start coming from Project Sign to Project Grudge and eventually Project Blue Book. So now we have, like I said, these groups today who their intent is to share it, not to disprove you, but to talk about it. So I think that our intent across the past, 50 years, 60 years,
has changed. Focus has shifted.
Has been the biggest benefit to a lot of people who might have seen something odd and strange.
I love this case.
It's a very good one.
It's a super cool case. And even to this day, what is this now, 50 years later, 45 years later, something like that. They still can't.
Yep.
No one has been able to disclaim that this case, anything about this case. So I find that super awesome.
But I think that's about it for today, unless you have anything else to add.
No. I think that's it. Be sure, guys, to jump over and give our page a like on Facebook at Supernatural Tendencies Podcast. And at the top, click all for notifications. That way you get notified every time we go live, like every Saturday at 8 from now on, joining the discussion with us. For sure.
Yep, get involved.
And if you have a friend, if you know someone who is into the paranormal, who loves podcasts, be sure to tag their name in this show.
Yeah, share it if you can. Tag a few people in this live, even afterwards. It's completely fine.
Yeah.
Some people like to watch videos more than they like audio. But if you do have somebody who you think might like audio during long car trips, vacationing, whether in a plane or not, if you have a work environment that may allow it, show them how to use podcasts. I literally just showed someone this
Super
week
easy.
how to get the podcast on their iPhone. So we are on a bunch of different podcatchers. So if you don't have an
all
iPhone,
the big ones.
that's fine. We're on iHeartRadio, Spotify. We're on some of the lower,
Anchor,
smaller ones.
Castbox.
Yep.
We're also on YouTube and iHeartRadio. I don't know if we've heard anything. We are soon to be on Pandora.
I'm waiting for it. I applied for it.
It just takes a while to get up with them.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks for joining us, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
We have seen a significant amount of growth in this past few weeks. I'm impressed with everybody. We thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We do this personally for ourselves, but we also do it for other like-minded individuals to help bring everybody together. This is a hobby for us, and we have to enjoy the hobby ourselves in order to keep continuing to do it. But we want to get other people involved in this hobby because that's what makes it fun. Is to have people engaging with us and to us and away from us. However, whatever direction you're engaging.
So be sure to whatever platform you listen to us. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button. And leave us a review. Leave us a comment. Let us know how we can improve. Let us know what you like about our show.
Except for last week.
Well, except for
Don't comment on last week.
But we'd love to hear from you.
Please, any way you can. Whether or not it's making a comment on this live, sharing it for us. I know on Apple Podcasts you can actually leave a star review as well as a review. I'm not sure if there's
Kelly.
other ones that you can do. If you could do that on Spotify or if you could do that on Stitcher, if you can leave a review, try it and see if you happen to listen on those platforms. But also give us some comments on YouTube. Subscribe to us. I know we're up to almost 50 on there, which I was impressed because I haven't looked at it in a while. I looked, it was like 48. I'm like, yes, sweet.
But it really helps us out whenever
really
you subscribe, and especially if you leave a comment or a review. Like that just goes way far as algorithms and helping our post to be, or our show to be seen. And we appreciate that so much.
Yep. So I think that's probably it for our long-winded thing, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Do we sign off?
I think so. I think we're good for this week.
All right.
So be sure to check us out next week, guys.
Don't mention it. Don't mention it yet. I see you looking at the calendar. Don't mention
it.
We're not going to mention what I had this grandiose idea for the episode next week.
Is it a surprise?
No, it's a surprise to me too. It's for everybody whether or not it's going to happen. I had this great idea that I thought I didn't. I
legit about spit that tea everywhere.
I didn't look into what I was told. I was just kind of told about the idea, and it didn't feel as big when I started delving into it. So hopefully I have enough material. Hopefully I have enough good material to live up to the title I came up with. So if not, we're gonna have something else. So I think that's about it for today, though.
Be sure to join us next week, Saturday, 8:00 Eastern Standard Time, for another great paranormal discussion. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you next time.
Yeah,
take care.
Bye-bye.